Desperate, our boy begs for help, saying even 4 million will work and that his luck is about to turn. A short time later, his phone buzzes, confirming a deposit of 3.5 million yuan into his account. With a wicked grin, our MC is already thinking about the future, because he knows with the apocalypse coming, no one's going to be around to collect on this debt. Immediately, the news confirms the chaos, warning of a solar flare that will raise the temperature to 45 degrees. Then it shows the devastating impact of the flare hitting the planet with full force. And just like that, a pillar of energy descends from the sky, officially marking the beginning of the end times. Consequently, the intense solar radiation raises the average temperature to 90 degrees, scorching everything and everyone for 30 straight days. But the story of how it all began takes us back to a normal day, on a bustling city street. Arriving in front of a sketchy-looking building, our guy gets ready to take the first step of his plan. Inside, the big boss gets straight to the point, asking if the kid has any idea what it means to borrow 5 million from him. Taking a drag from his cigarette, the man coldly sizes up the boy in front of him. Sitting comfortably, this Zhangyang fella says he has no problem lending the money, but his interest rates are pretty steep. Even surrounded by 2 giant goons, our MC replies that he knows about the interest and that it's not a problem. So the loan shark lays out the terms: 4% interest per month and collateral of equal value. Without hesitation, our boy hands over the deed to his own house as collateral for the payment. Looking over the document, the boss lets out a chuckle, realizing it's an old apartment worth 4 million at most. At this, one of his subordinates points out that with that collateral, they can't close a deal for 5 million. Seeing the refusal, our guy desperately insists, pleading for help and saying that 4 million is more than enough. Leaning back in his chair, the boss gives his final word: 3.5 million and not a penny more, because anything above that would be a loss for him. With a look of pure joy, the kid accepts on the spot, while the loan shark thinks he's hooked another gambling addict. Agreeing to the offer, our MC thanks him, falsely promising to pay back the debt soon. Looking over the contract papers, the kid says it's no problem, but he has one condition. Staring down the loan shark, he lays out his terms, leaving the man curious. 10 minutes later, the deal was done. As he leaves the place, our guy is escorted by one of the goons, who says goodbye in a friendly way. Almost instantly, his phone dings, confirming the receipt of the 3.5 million yuan. With a victorious smile, our boy is already thinking about the apocalypse coming in 1 month, knowing full well no one will be around to collect this debt. Remembering his past life, he relives the memory of the natural disaster that drastically changed the ecosystem. An intense solar radiation had struck the planet, raising the global temperature to 90 degrees. This plunged humanity into a terrible era of 30 days of extreme heat, where survival was nearly impossible. In this chaotic new world, even the animals mutated, turning into dangerous, bloodthirsty creatures. Meanwhile, back at the office, the boss is celebrating, believing he just scammed a young gambling addict. But one of his goons is suspicious of the situation, warning that the house was worth more and that the kid agreed way too quickly. Full of confidence, the loan shark brushes off the warning, saying that addicts will sell their own souls and that soon the house and everything else will be theirs. The subordinate just agrees with the plan, already preparing to seize the boy's assets in the future. Now outside, our MC checks his phone with a subtle smirk on his face. With an ironic thought, he scoffs at the loan shark, revealing that he took out loans from every criminal in the city. Keeping his eyes locked on his phone, he makes it clear to himself once the money is in his hands, it's never being returned. Flashing forward to the apocalyptic future, the earth has dried up, vegetation is gone, creatures have mutated, and society has collapsed. Because of this, supplies became extremely scarce, and people would do anything for a little bit of food. In this devastated world, having supplies was like possessing unimaginable wealth. Even billionaires and famous superstars had to beg for a single sausage or a cup of water just to stay alive. But now that he's been reborn, our MC has plenty of time to prepare in advance and stock up on everything he needs. Walking into a luxury coffee shop, something immediately catches our boy's eye. Over at the counter, 2 young women are talking about the legendary killer ice cream, which they say is even more expensive than the high-end brands. Thinking back to his past life, he remembers never buying it for himself, but he thought about buying it for a gold digger girl many times. Furious at himself for being such a sucker, our guy decides that this time, he's going to enjoy some too. Without a second thought, he walks up to the counter and orders 10 of every single type of ice cream the shop has. Stunned by the order, the 2 women whisper to each other, wondering if the kid actually has the money to pay for all that. Even the employee is skeptical, because although he's a handsome guy, our boy doesn't exactly look rich. Questioning if he's serious, she warns him that the shop only deals in luxury products and that the bill will be over 20,000 yuan. Just then, an arrogant woman butts into the conversation, saying that if the broke-looking kid can actually pay, she'll get down and kneel for him. Turning his head towards her, our MC just asks with a mocking tone if she's serious. Furious at the boy's audacity, the woman insults him, saying a nobody like him dares to show off on her turf. With a smirk, he tells her he gave her a chance to walk away, but now the bet is on, and not even divine intervention can save her. Realizing the trap she's fallen into, the woman is speechless, staring at our guy's triumphant smile. Completely ignoring the woman, he shows his account balance of 20 million and tells the employee to bag everything up. Seeing the absurd amount, the store manager rushes over to serve him, introducing himself formally and asking what Mr. Chen needs. Our boy then asks him to calculate the price of the entire store's inventory because he wants to buy it all and give the employees the day off. Satisfied with his plan, the kid thinks it's not half bad, since now he can hide out at home and eat ice cream during the apocalypse. Finalizing the details with the manager, our MC says he'll transfer a down payment of 500,000 yuan. Right after, he turns to the young ladies, saying that today, they can pick any ice cream they want from the shop. Opening his arms and introducing himself, he shouts that it's all on him, Chen Xiao, leaving all the women impressed. But looking directly at the arrogant woman, he reminds her that the offer is for everyone except her. Completely speechless, the woman just stammers, realizing the huge mess she's gotten herself into. Humiliated and crying, she keeps her promise, bowing on the floor in front of everyone. Without showing a hint of pity, our boy just looks down on her, commenting on the consequences of being stuck up. Sometime later in a quiet park, our guy finally gets a moment to relax. Savoring the moment, he tries the ice cream, confirming that the flavor and texture are indeed top-notch. And with his special ability, things get even better, as a strange power starts to emanate from his hand. Revealing a kind of black cube, he explains that it can keep anything frozen in its current state, ensuring fresh ice cream forever. Thinking about the possibilities, he smiles, imagining that with this power, any celebrity or model would come running at his call. Surprised by this, he reflects that he never imagined his ability would be reborn with him, since superpowers only awaken after the disaster. Even without understanding why, he knows this ability will be his greatest trump card from now on. Now with everything in place, he plans his next steps: build his shelter, get weapons, and secure a power source. Suddenly, his phone starts ringing with a call from a contact saved as Little Fairy. Seeing the name on the screen, a painful memory surfaces, bringing back a past he wanted to forget. Remembering his past life, he recalls how after his parents passed, this girl appeared like a savior. In the end, though, she only wanted what was his, even trying to take his house so she could buy a luxury apartment downtown. Filled with hatred from this memory, his eyes glow with a renewed fury and a desire for revenge. Thinking of the apocalypse, he relives the moment he had everything to protect her, only to be sold off by her like cattle. After all, there wasn't even enough of him left to tell the story. But now, with a vengeful smile, our MC answers the call, ready to settle the score once and for all. Getting straight to it, the story takes us to a luxury hotel where the girl is staying. On the other end of the line, this Little Fairy asks in a sweet voice why he called. With a whiny voice, she makes up an excuse, saying she lost a gold necklace she really liked. Hearing the lame excuse, our guy plays along and offers to buy her 10 new necklaces. Totally surprised by the offer, the girl asks when he suddenly became so generous. Lying through his teeth, our MC says he got lucky, investing in cryptocurrency and making a small profit. Even though she's suspicious of his get-rich-quick story, our boy convinces her that he's going to bet big next time. Then he dangles the bait, saying he needs a witness for a loan and that he'll give her a 5% commission. As soon as the call ends, the first step of his revenge plan is successfully completed. With a look full of hatred, our guy whispers that he'll be waiting for her. Now with his revenge in motion, he turns his attention to the most important thing: building his fortress. Meeting with the architect, our boy states that in 1 month, this place will have solid iron walls. Listing the specs, he demands bulletproof windows, concrete walls 3 meters thick, and a roof covered in solar panels. Completing the list of absurd requests, he asks for a self-sufficient ecosystem with a 72-hour oxygen supply. Summing it all up in one sentence, our MC declares that in 1 month, the place must be a disaster-proof home with its own life support system. Completely shocked, the architect thinks he's some apocalypse prepper nut who's watched too many sci-fi movies. Noticing the man's hesitation, our boy presses him, but the architect says the only issue is the budget. Seeing the money, the architect just assumes he's another eccentric rich guy with conspiracy theories and money to burn. Without wasting any time, our MC transfers a 1 million down payment and says the rest of the payment is on him. Completely floored by the offer, the architect can hardly believe it. This job is his ticket to financial freedom. Sealing the deal with a handshake, the architect guarantees the place will be as solid as a fortress. But behind the smiles, both are thinking of taking advantage of the other, with no idea who will get the short end of the stick. With the fortress issue settled, our boy focuses on the next steps: supplies, medicine, and food. Because in the apocalypse, the most dangerous thing isn't the disaster itself, but human nature when society collapses. Looking for a solution to the weapons problem, our MC accesses his black market contacts. Sending a coded message, he asks for top-of-the-line products and secure channels for a safe deal. Asking how to buy, he receives the meeting address, set for 8 p.m. sharp, with no room for being late. Arriving at the designated spot, our boy finds the deserted street strange, thinking a more crowded place would be safer. Just then, a commotion starts with a woman running from several guys who are chasing her relentlessly. With a bruised face and out of breath, the girl keeps running, trying to escape her pursuers at all costs. In her desperate escape, she ends up bumping into our MC, and the leader of the group immediately accuses her of betrayal. Seeing no way out, the girl clings to our boy, desperately begging him to save her. Recognizing the girl's face, our MC is surprised, wondering what Liu is doing in a place like this. Before he can even think, the thugs grab the girl, while their boss points menacingly. Crying out in pain, the girl struggles, but the guys hold her even tighter, hurting her. With a serious expression on his face, our boy just watches the scene, whispering the name Liu. Instantly, a memory flashes back, showing she was the top student in middle school, the girl everyone admired. Hearing the shouting, our MC closes his eyes, processing the chaos unfolding in front of him. Pulling the girl's hair, one of the thugs yells at her to hand over the money, or she's not leaving. Right after, another goon suggests that if she doesn't have cash, she can very well pay with her body. Without a second thought, our boy steps up, ordering him in a cold voice to let the girl go. Turning to face the interruption, the criminals stare at the kid, surprised by his boldness. Annoyed by the intrusion, one of the guys charges forward, yelling that he's going to mess up this wannabe hero. But with a deathly glare and his eye glowing red, our MC prepares for combat. Blocking the punch with absurd ease, he shows he's no ordinary opponent. And with inhuman strength, he grabs the thug's hand, crushing his bones in an instant. Screaming in pain, the man writhes, feeling the agony of his hand being completely shattered. Seizing the opportunity, our guy lands a clean hit right in the enemy's face. Sending the guy flying from the impact, a strange notification pops up in front of him. Detecting the negative emotions in the area, the system alerts him to intense fear, pain, and anger. Noticing the floating window, our boy smirks, because the system is something he didn't have in his past life. Seeing the situation get complicated, the boss grabs the hostage, threatening to finish her if the kid moves. But then out of nowhere, a brick flies in and hits one of the goons square in the head. Totally shocked by the surprise attack, the thugs are frozen, not understanding what just happened. Then a new guy appears on the scene, questioning if a bunch of grown men aren't ashamed of themselves for bullying a girl. Full of rage, one of the criminals runs at the newcomer, ready to strike with a bat. But our MC acts faster, grabbing the bat with his hand and stopping the swing mid-air. Blocking his partner's kick, the new fighter lands a solid blow on the other goon. Nimbly dodging the next attack, our MC prepares for a counterattack. Landing a powerful punch right on the enemy's bowed head, our boy shows he's not messing around. Fighting in sync, the two heroes kick the remaining thugs at the same time. Finishing the job, the guy in the floral shirt stomps hard on the last goon's chest. With the enemies on the ground, the two fighting partners survey the damage they've done. With an icy stare, our guy tells the thugs to get lost. Just then, the system dings again, collecting the negative emotions and unlocking the space expansion permission. Noticing the new mechanic, our boy smiles, finding the idea of harvesting negative emotions interesting. With the fight over, the girl on the ground thanks him for showing up just in time. Worried about her, our MC takes her hand and asks if she's hurt. Taking off his own jacket, he covers her and tells her to take care, as she thanks him and hurries away. Watching the scene, his fighting partner introduces himself as Mu Kang, complimenting the damsel in distress rescue. Recognizing the name, our boy confirms that he's the buyer who set up the meeting. To confirm his identity, the seller gives a password, waiting for the correct response. But breaking all formality, our MC simply replies that he's an idiot. Immediately, the system detects the strong emotions of confusion and embarrassment from the seller. Laughing at the situation, our MC finally completes the code, leaving the guy relieved. With the confusion cleared up, they head to a safer place to finalize the deal. Inside, the seller shows off the goods, a sturdy and durable Russian pistol, but with only a few bullets. Examining the weapon, our MC says thanks, while the seller compliments his skills and offers him a friend price. Noticing the smooth handling of the gun, the seller can tell our boy is no rookie when it comes to this stuff. With a smile on his face, our guy starts to haggle, asking if the gun comes with a silencer, a warranty, and an extra box of ammo. Completely shocked by the audacity, the seller freaks out, asking the kid even understands what a friend price is. Annoyed, he thinks to himself that this kind of item costs double in the black market, and the guy still wants freebies. Almost exploding with rage, he thinks the boy is acting like he's buying a home appliance, and that it'd be easier to just rob him at this point. And once again, the system dings, detecting the strong negative emotions of shock, hurt, and speechlessness from the seller. Seeing the guy's reaction, our MC tells him to forget it and transfers the money, thinking that now there's only one thing left to do. Shifting focus to the night, the story takes us to a luxury hotel under the moonlight. Inside, the little fairy waits anxiously, looking out the window of a fancy apartment. Clutching her dress tightly, she shows her impatience with the delay. When our boy finally arrives, she questions him about being late and asks if this so-called deal is risk-free. But in her thoughts, she scorns him, thinking the doormat would do anything for her and wouldn't have the guts to trick her. A short time later, she's in front of the loan shark, who compliments her directness and the beauty of her handwriting. Suspecting nothing, the girl signs the contract, while the loan shark thinks to himself that the fool has no idea the debt is now hers. And with a wicked smile, the boss already knows that when the girl can't pay the debt, well, then she can just pay with her body. Unexpectedly, everything went smoothly, and our boy thanks Liu Wangking for signing the guarantor contract. Now in front of the shelter, the architect reports that all materials have been reinforced to the highest military-grade standards. Taking the supplier's card, our MC thanks him for the quality service, while the guy asks to be called for future jobs. Now inside his safe shelter, our guy watches the news, which warns of an unprecedented solar flare. The entire world is about to experience prolonged and extreme temperature weather. While cleaning his new gun, the newscast warns that temperatures will break historical records and asks everyone to prepare protective measures. Finally, with the weapon in his hands, our boy realizes the moment has come. Fully prepared, he faces the inevitable, because the end is here. With his eyes glowing red, he knows that this time, the story will be different. Through the fortress window, he watches the giant sun approaching, blanketing the entire city. Confirming the catastrophe, the reporter announces that the Earth's ionosphere is suffering severe disturbances. Feeling the sweat drip down his face, our guy knows the temperature is already rising, and this is just the beginning. Quickly, the entire city begins to feel the impact, with the intense heat reflecting off all the buildings. With nowhere to run, ordinary people are already starting to suffer from the unbearable heat wave. Stepping out on her balcony, one of the neighbors complains about the insane heat so early in the morning. Leaning on the railing, another resident is already panicking, not knowing how long this heat wave will last. Seizing the panic, a local shopkeeper uses a megaphone, announcing that water and electricity will be rationed. Realizing the opportunity to profit from the crisis, he smiles, thinking it would be a mistake not to cash in on this heat wave. Seeing the outrageous price of watermelons, 2 customers ask for a discount. But upon seeing the young women, the shopkeeper's eyes light up, mesmerized by their beauty. Making an indecent proposal, he offers a watermelon in exchange for some favors, and even a discount if they buy 2. Refusing the disgusting offer, one of the girls says she'll just take 1, while the shopkeeper offers the AC in his house. Pushing the sale, he gets even closer, telling her to stock up because there might not be any left tomorrow. Trying to haggle over the price of water, a customer asks for a discount, but the shopkeeper shuts him down on the spot. Carrying a heavy box, the shopkeeper is sweating buckets while our MC watches him from a distance. Remembering his past life, our boy recognizes the shopkeeper, a guy named Da Fu. Reliving a painful memory, he remembers being humiliated, kneeling on the floor of that very same shop. Yelling at the young man, the shop owner falsely accuses him of stealing, drawing everyone's attention. Trying to defend himself, the poor guy says he was just picking up something that fell, but the shopkeeper doesn't believe him and humiliates him. With the crowd gathering around and judging the boy, the pressure and prejudice mount even higher. With tears in his eyes, the young man insists he didn't steal anything. Back in the present, our MC walks into the crowded store, waiting for the right moment to act. With a determined look, he sizes up the situation, remembering the injustice he suffered in the past. Seeing the absurd price of 50 yuan for a bag of chips, the shopkeeper's greed is on full display. Questioning the price, our boy asks if the potatoes are made of gold, which ticks off the owner. Feeling the pressure from the question, the shopkeeper breaks into a cold sweat, not knowing how to respond. Just then, the system dings, detecting the strong negative emotions of disgust coming from the shop owner. Snatching the bag from the kid's hand, the shopkeeper yells at him not to touch it if he can't afford it. Immediately, the man's irritation skyrockets, and the system collects another 6 points of negative emotions. With a taunting smile, our boy asks if the boss sleeps well at night with all his treasures, and advises him to watch out for thieves. Left speechless, the shop owner stares at the boy, confused by the sudden provocation. Exploding with rage, the shopkeeper starts yelling, cursing at our MC and accusing him of going crazy from the heat. But ignoring the outburst, our boy calmly asks if he's been having trouble sleeping, back pain, and night sweats. Spooked by the accuracy of the question, the shopkeeper starts to sweat, wondering if his warehouse has bad feng shui. Grabbing the man's face, our MC starts messing with him, saying his forehead looks dark. And shoving the shopkeeper away, he finishes the joke, saying the guy's eyes are unfocused. With a smirk, our boy gives the final diagnosis, saying it's a classic case of a deficiency. Lunging at the kid, the shopkeeper yells that he and his whole family are the deficient ones. But with a lollipop in hand, our MC warns him to take it easy, since anger can be bad for his health. Tossing a coin in the air, our boy says that if he doesn't take care of himself, it could shorten his life. Spinning in the air, the coin falls slowly, creating a moment of suspense. And once again, the system collects the negative emotions, adding another 20 points of rage. With his revenge complete, our MC walks away, leaving a black cat to snatch the fallen coin. Standing outside the shop, he reflects that in his past life he swallowed his pride, but in this life, he's going to collect everything back with interest. Remembering the system notification, our boy realizes he can use the collected emotions to expand his space. And immediately, the system consumes the 20 accumulated points of negative emotions. Finishing the process, the storage space expansion is completed, with another 200 cubic meters. With his hand glowing with a purple energy, a black hole opens up, revealing his new power. Satisfied with the result, our MC smiles, because now he has an even bigger advantage for the coming apocalypse. The next day, birds are chirping peacefully in the tree branches. But hiding in the bushes, our boy watches as the shopkeeper approaches. Arriving in front of the shop, the man notices something strange and stops in his tracks. In complete shock, he sees that the inside of his store is totally empty. Seeing the completely bare shelves, reality hits him hard. With his face twisted in fury, the shop owner screams in desperation, asking where all his merchandise went. Grabbing his head, he freaks out, demanding to know who was responsible for the robbery. With his shadow cast on the ground, the man's desperation and anger are almost tangible. And from his shelter, our MC watches everything on his cameras as the system collects another 66 points of negative emotions. Taking a sip of soda, he watches the scene with a chilling calmness. Sitting comfortably, our boy enjoys the show, savoring his little revenge. Back at the store, the shopkeeper keeps yelling, demanding that the thief who took his stock show themselves. Throwing himself on the ground in despair, he lets out a cry of pure anguish and frustration. With the shop empty, customers start to speculate that it's all just an act to raise prices. Spreading rumors, two neighbors mention they heard a dark shadow was seen floating around the night before. Overhearing the gossip, the shop owner starts to wonder if the place is haunted. And once again, the system kicks in, detecting and collecting the emotions of anger, fear, and suspicion. In the middle of the crowd, our MC smiles, satisfied with the shopkeeper's constant production of emotions. Munching on some stolen chips, he enjoys the moment, savoring every bit of his revenge. With a wicked look, our boy decides it's time to add more fuel to the fire. Walking up to the fallen man, he opens the bag of chips, letting the smell waft through the air. With the shiny packaging, the chips look even more delicious and desirable. Recognizing the bag, the shopkeeper yells that stock is his. With a mocking smile, our MC repeats the same question, asking if the potatoes are made of gold to be so expensive. Whispering in the man's ear, our MC repeats the same taunt about watching out for thieves. Grabbing the bag of chips, the shopkeeper accuses the boy of stealing his merchandise and then having the nerve to be arrogant. But with sweat trickling down his face, our boy keeps his cool, unfazed by the accusation. Grabbing the man's arm, our MC asks him if he has any evidence to prove what he's saying. With a smirk, he warns him that making accusations without proof has consequences. Grabbing the shopkeeper by the collar, our boy offers him the rest of the chips, since his supermarket is empty. Enraged, the shop owner accuses him directly, saying if he didn't steal it, then who did? And with his hatred at its peak, the system collects another 18 points of negative emotion. Shifting the blame to the crowd, our MC says that other stores sell these chips too. With public opinion divided, the shopkeeper starts to wonder how the weak kid from before suddenly got so tough. Making a risky bet, our boy says that if he finds anything in his house, he'll pay 10 times its value, but if he doesn't, the shopkeeper's generator is his. Taking the challenge, the shopkeeper accepts, determined to see how long the kid can keep up the act. Leading the crowd, the shopkeeper heads towards our MC's house, certain he'll find what he's looking for. Arriving at the place, everyone is impressed by the luxurious house, wondering when the kid got so rich. Admiring the crystal chandelier, the shopkeeper's jaw drops at the sight of such wealth. Looking at the designer clothes in the closet, the man's envy and surprise only grow. Opening the fridge, he finds a variety of luxury foods and drinks, all neatly stocked. And in the safe, a pile of shiny gold bars leaves the shopkeeper even more shocked. Searching every corner of the house, he starts to sweat as he can't find any of his stock. With a victorious smile, our MC asks if he's looked enough, or if he wants to tear up the floorboards too. Defeated and with nothing left to do, the shopkeeper tries to bolt, saying he'll look elsewhere. And with this humiliation, the system collects another 6 points for embarrassment. But before he can escape, our MC grabs him by the collar, demanding the promised generator. Playing to the crowd, our boy asks if the shopkeeper is trying to go back on his word. Trying to wiggle out of it, the man says you have to know when to back down, but our MC reminds him of when he was falsely accused. With the pressure mounting, the shopkeeper's impatience generates another 8 points of negative emotion for the system. Seeing the man's lack of character, the crowd starts to comment that he deserved to be robbed. With nowhere left to run, the shopkeeper tries to use force, but is easily overpowered by our MC. With a precise arm lock, our boy squeezes tight, breaking the man's bones. Screaming in pain, the shopkeeper writhes on the floor, feeling the agony of his broken arm. And with that intense pain, the system collects another 73 points of negative emotion. Overcome by the pain, the shopkeeper yells that he'll move the generator, begging for the torture to stop. With a threatening glare, our boy reminds him that without a generator, he'll be without power when the rationing starts. With that final taunt, the system collects a flood of negative emotions, including humiliation, pain, and fear. Seeing his revenge complete, our MC turns and walks away, leaving the defeated man behind. Back in his shelter, his phone rings with a call from Lu Wonking. On the other end of the line, she says desperately that debt collectors have been following her for 2 days. With her image reflected on the phone screen, our MC coldly questions her about the chase. Pushing for answers, the girl asks why the Dahai gang is after her and if he lied. In a falsely hurt voice, our boy says he paid so much for her and that it makes him sad she doesn't trust him. Thinking to himself, our MC notes that the pervy bunch from the Dahai gang is more impatient than he thought. Continuing the call, he asks if the guys already know where she lives and what they said to her. Explaining the situation, the girl says they don't know her address and that she managed to shake them, but she demands to know what's going on. Changing the subject, our boy prepares his fancy meal, grilled salmon with rice. With her eyes wide with surprise, the girl can hardly believe what she's seeing on the screen. Through the video call, she sees the luxury food he's about to eat. Utterly shocked, she asks how he can still get that kind of food in the middle of all this chaos. Taking a sip of soda, our MC calmly replies that he has plenty more in his stash. Still in disbelief, the girl asks if he really has a lot of food stored away. Mulling it over, she thinks that with the extreme heat and lack of supplies, he must have actually gotten rich. Taunting her even more, our boy says that eating this in the heat is the best thing ever. Taking a generous forkful of salmon, he savors every bite slowly in front of her. Realizing what he's eating, it finally clicks for her. It's salmon, an extreme luxury item. Writhing from hunger and heat, she mentally screams that she really wants to eat that. With a wicked glint in his eye, our guy asks if she has enough to eat over there. Ignoring the taunt, she says she's really scared of living alone. And she continues with the excuse, saying she feels like the collectors are still nearby. Striking a seductive pose, the girl dangles the bait, asking if she can stay at his place for a few days. And with a sly look, she says she could very well keep him company as she provocatively tugs on her top strap. Thinking about how she totally took the bait, our MC eats his salmon, calling her a gold digger. With a taunting tone, he reminds her that she used to play hard to get, but he'll come get her when the heat dies down. Saying the situation is special now, the girl agrees, claiming that as his girlfriend, it's his duty to protect her, and immediately sends her address. With a dark smile, our boy tells her to wait at home, acting as if he really cares about her safety. Lying on the couch, the gold digger scoffs, thinking that a sucker is always a sucker, and that he'll wag his tail for any scrap. Full of hatred, our MC remembers how she used to be so arrogant, but now she's begging for a plate of food. Keeping his gaze fixed and full of rage, his determination for revenge grows even stronger. Suddenly, a knock on the door breaks the silence, and a woman with a child calls his name. Walking slowly towards the door, our boy already has an idea of who it might be. Cracking the door open with a fake smile, he asks what Auntie Wong wants. Forcing her way in, the neighbor complains that her air conditioner broke, and that since they're neighbors, he should let them in. But holding the door, our guy reminds her of the time she called him a beggar for collecting bottles with his mom, and even had security kick them out. A memory from the past flashes by, showing the woman and her husband humiliating them, yelling at them to get lost and not dirty up the complex. Trying to justify herself, the neighbor yells that was many years ago. Absolutely furious, she accuses him of holding a grudge and not having a shred of humanity. With a sarcastic tone, he agrees that he has no humanity, but at least he has air conditioning. And with that last line, he slams the door shut in her face. Yelling from outside, the woman calls him heartless, saying he deserved to be an orphan, and the system collects 18 points of rage. Right after, another notification pops up, collecting another 20 points of negative emotion. Satisfied with the result, our MC just smiles, enjoying the revenge and the points he just earned. Preparing the next step of his plan, our boy grabs a burner phone and a new SIM card. Inserting the new card into the device, he makes sure he can't be traced. Standing in his room, he gets ready to make the call that will seal the girl's fate. He immediately calls the Dahai gang, the most dangerous debt collectors in the city. Without beating around the bush, our MC gives up Li Wongqing's address, saying she lives alone and is an easy target. Patiently waiting for his revenge to unfold, every second feels like an eternity. Watching the city from his balcony, he whispers the girl's name with a cold stare. Because now he knows the show is about to begin. And as night falls over the city, the trap is finally set. Meanwhile, the girl gets ready in front of the mirror, dreaming of moving into our guy's air-conditioned room. Imagining a life of luxury where he serves her like a doormat, because she believes that's what she deserves. With an air of superiority, she sits down, waiting for her personal driver to arrive. Lighting a cigarette with a smug look, she feels completely in control of the situation. Suddenly, a knock on the door interrupts her thoughts, and she gets up to answer it. Opening the door, she calls him a sucker, surprised that he arrived so early. But her face freezes in pure shock when she sees who's really there. Because in front of her isn't the boy, but the collectors from the Dahai gang. The gang leader immediately confronts her, saying her debt to them is due today. Desperate, she tries to pin the blame on our MC, saying she was tricked into signing the contract. But the loan shark shows her the paper, making it clear that her signature is right there and whoever signs is the one who pays. Ordering his men to search everything, the boss looks for anything of value to pay off the debt. As she's thrown onto the table, the girl screams for them to stop and says she's going to call Chen Xiao immediately. Right after, the boss sits on the couch, looking over the purses and jewelry his goons found. Seeing her luxury goods being taken, the girl panics, realizing the situation is serious. Scoffing at the situation, the loan shark says that the junk she has isn't even enough to cover the interest. And with a wicked look, he makes it clear that his men didn't come all the way out here in this heat to leave empty-handed. Completely cornered, the gold digger begs them not to come any closer, insisting that our MC has the money. Looking the girl up and down, the boss starts getting other ideas on how to settle the debt. Trying to buy time, the girl dangles the bait, saying the boy has tons of supplies and will be coming to get her soon. Calling the number, the only response she gets is a message that the phone is unavailable. Not believing what she's hearing, the automated message repeats, confirming her worst fears. But on the other end of the line, our guy's phone just rings and rings, with no one picking up. Realizing the call won't be answered, desperation starts to creep across her face. Putting the pieces of the puzzle together, it finally starts to dawn on her. Stuttering an excuse, she says he must be busy and that she'll try calling one more time. Grabbing the girl by the collar, the loan shark yells that she's an idiot and that the kid sold her out without a second thought. Completely speechless, reality hits her like a punch to the gut. Grabbing her hair tightly, the man shows that his patience has finally run out. Screaming in desperation, the girl begs them to let her go, insisting the boy has everything they want. And as she's dragged towards the bedroom, her terrified screams echo through the apartment, sealing her tragic fate. With a loud slam, the bedroom door shuts, muffling the screams. On the other end of the line, the call continues, and the girl's terrified screams echo through the phone. Calmly in his shelter, our guy sips his wine, listening to the soundtrack of his revenge. Taking another sip, he makes a silent toast, wishing the girl to enjoy the passion of the apocalypse. Meanwhile, in the girl's apartment, the situation only gets worse. Sitting in the armchair, the gang leader watches the scene, satisfied with the payment of the debt. Completely broken, the girl cries silently, thrown on the bed. But wanting more, the loan shark pressures her, asking about the things she said the kid had. Seeing a chance to escape, she reveals everything, saying his house has air conditioning, cold drinks, and tons of food. And with a trembling voice, she adds that his shelter has everything. With his eyes gleaming with greed, the boss realizes the scale of the opportunity. Begging for her life, she tells him to go after the boy, because he's the one they're looking for and she has nothing left. Thinking about the supplies and the air conditioning, the loan shark smiles, realizing he's caught a big fish this time. Making his decision, he stands up, ready to go after his new source of wealth. Giving a signal to his goons, he gives the order, simply saying, "Let's go." Alone and abandoned, the girl whispers our MC's name, swearing that he'll meet a horrible end. A short time later on the street, a new group of people approaches the condo complex. Marching with determination, they press forward, unfazed by the heat of the night. At the front of the group, Auntie Wong points to the building, saying the kid lives there and has AC, food, and plenty of drinks. Pleased with the information, the new boss thanks the old woman, promising she'll get her cut as soon as they get the supplies. With a fake, grateful smile, the neighbor praises the gang leader, saying he's so generous. Picturing the scene in her head, she sees our guy on his knees, begging for forgiveness and offering her the house. With a wicked look, the old woman thinks that now she'll see if the kid is still as arrogant as before. From a distance, our MC watches the gang approaching, led by the treacherous neighbor. Looking at the building, the group's leader realizes the place is indeed luxurious, and that the kid must really have a lot of cash. Stopping in front of the main gate, the criminals get ready to invade the premises. One of the goons steps forward, yelling that he's going to bust the door down for the boss. But as he steps on the entrance, an electric grid activates, releasing a high-voltage discharge. Screaming in pain, the man starts to shake, getting electrocuted in front of everyone. Falling to the ground and convulsing, the others are confused, asking why the useless guy is having a seizure. Then another goon tries to help, but as he touches his friend, the electricity passes into his body. Screaming for help, the second man is completely engulfed by the electric discharge. Utterly shocked by the scene, the gang and the neighbor are paralyzed with fear. Right after, a loudspeaker pops up on the wall, leaving everyone even more confused as the system collects the points for bewilderment. Then out of nowhere, the device starts playing a cheerful song about having good luck. And as the song continues, the electric grid pulses to the rhythm, releasing more and more energy. Catching everyone by surprise, the electric discharge spreads, hitting the entire group at once. Immediately, they all start screaming and jumping, getting thrown from side to side by the electricity. Seeing the widespread panic, the system kicks in, collecting 45 points for shock, 36 for panic, and 22 for speechlessness. Comfortably in his shelter, our MC watches it all on his cameras, mocking the luck the guys had to step on his defense grid. Yelling through the loudspeaker, the boss tells our MC to cut the crap and give back the money. Right after, the neighbor accuses him, saying he has money to renovate his house but not to pay his debts. But from his shelter, our boy watches everything calmly, enjoying his popsicle. With a smirk, he reminds the boss that his apartment is worth 4 million, more than enough to cover the debt. Finishing his sentence, he throws Lee Wonking's debt back at her, saying it has nothing to do with him. Furious, the boss realizes that in this new world, supplies are the real currency and everything else is trash. Licking his popsicle, our guy advises the loan shark to be a wise man and leave in peace. And threatening that he won't be so polite next time, he places his finger over a red button. Immediately, an even stronger electric discharge erupts from the ground, catching everyone off guard. Screaming that they can't take it anymore, the goons are fried to a crisp, while the system collects the points for pain and despair. Watching his men get barbecued, the boss and the survivors are paralyzed with rage. Shouting a threat, the loan shark swears his gang won't let this slide. And with deadly hatred, he flees as the system collects another 78 points of rage. Abandoned on the street, the neighbor stares at the building, which now seems to have red eyes watching everything. The next day, the temperature already hits 52 degrees, turning the city into a real oven. Meanwhile, in his refuge, our boy eats grapes peacefully, feeling completely refreshed. On TV, the news confirms the chaos, warning about deaths from heatstroke and telling everyone not to leave their homes. Just then his phone starts buzzing nonstop with new notifications. Showing a flood of messages in the condo's group chat, the neighbors accuse him of being inhuman and of watching the elderly and children perish from the heat. Calling the kid a murderer and selfish, the other residents demand that he share his resources and give an explanation. Sipping his cold drink, our MC just scrolls through the screen, reading the insults and curses from his neighbors. And with that, the system dings nonstop, collecting 99 points for envy and another 101 for pure wrath. As soon as the total value of negative emotions surpasses 1,000 points, a new notification announces that the rewards are being calculated.